The year is 2021, but it's still really difficult creating favicons for your website. Let's get into it. A favicon is an icon that's displayed by your browser when you are looking at your different tabs. For example, in Safari, it's displayed here. In Opera, it's there. And in Firefox, it shows up like this. And in Google Chrome, it shows up like that. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through all the necessary steps in 2021 to change your favicon. It should be simple, right? It's just changing an icon. But in reality, it's actually more difficult than that. In Safari, a different icon is displayed. And there's also the bookmark icons in Google Chrome. And also there's the TouchBar icon that Apple introduced with Safari. So when you're creating a favicon, you need to think about different browsers and how they decorate their tabs. I mean, for example, Firefox has dark background for their tabs, even when you are on light mode on macOS. That means even if you switch to dark mode, only the selected tabs color changes. And other browsers have other stuff as well, and Apple's Touch Bar behaves differently. Maybe some Android devices behave completely differently. So long story short, there are a lot of things to think about when you're creating a favicon, and I'm going to walk you through every single step. Obviously, before getting started with the favicon change, we need a new favicon. So this is the one that we're going to be using for the rest of the video. I've created two other versions for this. One with some strokes applied to the outside edge. The main image itself is black, but then there's a slight hint of gray outside the image. And I've also created a gray version of this icon. This is not really gray, by the way. This is F0, F0, F0. And I've created a PNG for all of these images. So to do that, you go to Illustrator and export as PNG, and you use artboards, and you just click export and then just click OK and save the image. So once you have all of these three images ready to go, you are going to come to this website, which is realfavicongenerator.net. So once you're here, you want to select your favicon image, and we're going to be selecting the one without borders. So we're going to be using favicon without borders PNG file. Okay, let's go with this one. All right, so for the first option, I prefer to have a background like this one, and I'm not going to touch the border radius, but I'm going to decrease the image size slightly. For iOS, I'm going to use a dedicated picture. So for this one, I'm going to be using the white logo. So let's go with that. That's going to take a while to load. Okay, so I'm going to select the dedicated picture here. Let's go to settings. Let's add the solid background, and the solid background color is going to be 111, 111. Let's make the icon slightly smaller. Okay, that looks good. For Android, I'm going to be using the same dedicated picture as well. So let's select the white background. For Windows Metro, while this one uploads, I'm going to be using a dedicated picture too. For this one, I'm going to be using the white background as well. Okay, so let's go with the dedicated picture. For the main one, let's add a solid background color. It's going to be 111, 111. Again, let's make the icon slightly smaller. And for Windows, I'm going to be using the dedicated picture with a dark background. And yeah, for Safari, the theme color is going to be 111, 111. On the touch bar, it's going to look just like this one. And in Safari, it's going to look like that. That's pretty much what I wanted. Cool. And let's take a look at the compression options. This will allow us to save some space when users are downloading our favicon. This website is actually very nice. You can zoom in and compare how the different compression options look, but I honestly can't see the difference even on my 4K screen right here. So I'm going to go with the very low quality option, and let's generate my favicons. Once it's done, it will allow you to download your favicon package, and you're going to be copying and pasting all of these things into the index.html of your website. So I've downloaded the favicon package. Let's head back to IntelliJ and modify index.html. So I had a favicon image created before, but if you don't have these, you pretty much want to remove all of these things, and then you're going to replace that content with the one that the website generated for you. And let's take a look into the zipped file that we've just downloaded. So all of these files, you're going to copy and paste them into the public directory of your React application. After taking a look at these directories again, I definitely have more favicon icons in here for different devices and different sizes, but I'm assuming those things are not necessary anymore. Maybe they've updated some stuff. Maybe Apple or Microsoft doesn't require these files anymore. So I'm just going to assume that these are not needed anymore. And yeah, this website does a pretty good job of tracking what's needed and what's not needed. So I'll just remove everything from there and drag the new files in here. So now if you go to Google Chrome, which we have in here, you can see our new favicon. But wait, there's a whole other side of this thing that we haven't discussed yet. And also we talked about how we're going to be supporting SVG file format in Favicons as well. This will save some space when the browser is downloading the Favicon, and also scale with pixel density of these devices. So there are a few different blog posts and articles about how you can use dark mode and SVG images as Favicons. So this was written in 2019, and apparently since 2019 Chrome accepts SVG favicons, and apparently this is how you use them. All right, we are going to go with that option for now. So let's come back here and let's add another line in here, which is called icon and icon.svg. So we have two different icons in there. So I'm just going to place this next to those two, and let's rename this to be favicon.svg. And I'm going to be copying the favicon that we just created. So this is the favicon that we're going to use. We created this using Adobe Illustrator, and I'm going to be using the one with borders. This one. So let's copy this file over there and paste it under the public directory. So that's Favicon SVG. And if you preview this, it looks like that. Okay, cool. Let's go back to Google Chrome and refresh this web page and see if the favicon changes. Yep. So as you can see, the browser is now using the other favicon. But what if we switch to dark mode? We talked about how we're going to be using this icon in dark mode as well, right? And if the favicon that we are using is an SVG file, that means we can use CSS media queries inside the SVG, and we can change its color based on the user's dark mode, light mode preference. So let's just copy this part. So this is the Favicon SVG. If you open this in your text editor, it's going to look like this, and we're going to be adding a media tag in here. And you can see that we have two classes over here, so I'm just going to be replacing those two. Let's tab here. We're going to be changing the styles for these two, right? We're going to be swapping the colors. So the white is going to be black, the black is going to be white now. So let's paste that over here, and let's take this and paste that over here. And if we switch back and refresh this page, you can see the favicon just became white. And if you switch to light mode and refresh the page again, you can see the favicon just became black. Okay, well, there's still another issue that we need to think about. So if you switch to dark mode, unless you refresh the website, the icon stays as black. And when you refresh the website, then it becomes white. Unfortunately, this person has discovered a way to make the browsers refresh the icons. Okay, so he has provided a code block here that is going to be helpful with what we're going to do. So I've copied that, and I'm going to paste it into the main index.js file of our React project, and I'm going to move it somewhere else down the line. Okay, let's start by cleaning this up, and we're going to understand what this does. This piece of code watches when the user's preference for dark mode and light mode changes, and it does some actions based on that. It seems like it's loading a different icon. In our case, we don't need to load a different icon because we're going to be using an SVG file, but we just need to refresh the SVG file and tell the browser to reload the file so it runs the media query in the file again and again as we keep changing between dark mode and light mode. There are a few things that we don't need inside this code block. For example, shortcut icon, we don't need to modify the shortcut icon. We only need to modify the icon in here. And also I'm going to be marking these as alternate icons. So the first thing that I want my browser to take a look into is the icon. And if this doesn't work, then I want my browser to take a look into the alternate icons. And in this JavaScript code block, I only want to change the icon, not any of the other favicons that we might have in our project. So I'm going to get rid of this line. Let's rename this to be favicon, and we're going to be removing all large favicon references in here. And also, I don't need to check if the favicon exists or not. This is not very useful. If it doesn't exist, then we're not going to show anything anyway. So, and I can remove this comment. So, okay, I've cleaned up the code block a little bit, and it seems like it's currently switching between two different icons. But what I want to do is to just refresh the SVG that we have in there. So I'm just going to replace this with favicon.svg and favicon.svg. You're probably going to say, this just doesn't make sense. You're doing the same thing on an if or else block. And you would be absolutely right. This doesn't do anything just yet. We need to add this in here. Favicon.href equals null. So this forces the browser to forget about whatever favicon it has, and then it forces it to re-instantiate the favicon image each time the user switches between dark mode and light mode. And this change is going to run the media query inside the SVG that we have, and it's going to refresh the icon. Brilliant, right? Okay, let's try and see if this works. So I'm going to switch to dark mode now. And you can see that the icon has changed, and I'm going to switch to light mode, and you see that the icon has just changed again. And I've tested this behavior on other browsers as well, such as Firefox and Opera, and it seems to be working the same way. Okay, this part is deprecated, and I want to clean this code a little bit further. So I've just found this one. I'm just going to copy and paste this code block over here. So, okay, and let's clean this up even further. So we can get rid of this part. And we don't care if dark mode is on or not in this case again. So we managed to reduce that whole code block into this one. And yeah, it just works the same way as before. Okay, finally, I want to talk about why I had to add borders around the favicon. It's a weird solution, but it's a good solution. Let me show you what I mean by that. Okay, so this is what the icon looks like when we are on light mode on Firefox. The tab is selected and the icon looks perfectly fine, right? As soon as you navigate to a different tab, Firefox changes the background color of the tab here to be black. And if the icon is black, and also if the tab background is black, it tends to blend with the background, and the favicon itself was not visible. So I had to add some white strokes around favicon so it was visible on Firefox as well. There's another benefit to this one, which is if you add some shortcuts to Google Chrome, like this one, if you navigate to this website now, let's open a new tab. The icon looks perfectly fine, right? But Chrome has a bug where it doesn't change the background of these tiles if you switch between dark mode and light mode. I'm not sure if it's a bug, maybe it's a feature, but if you switch to dark mode on Chrome, all of these tabs change to black. However, these icons don't change their background colors, but they should. Anyway, if you navigate to this website again, and if it sees the dark mode version of the favicon, and if you open a new tab, then because the background colors of these icons haven't changed, it would still be using the dark mode version of the favicon, which means you have to have some borders around for this thing to show up in here. It's weird, I know, but this is the workaround that you can use for now. So make sure you add some strokes around the image if you're using black and white, but if you're using a colorful logo like YouTube does, then you're fine. But yeah, this is why you need to add some borders around the image. Finally, and this is what it looks like on Safari. So Safari uses the TouchBar icon, but then adds a white background on its own. And if you pin this tab, it looks like this. And finally, if you want me to change anything on this website, or if you're wondering about how something is done, let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll just add it to the website and I can make videos about that. Okay, well, see you later.